it's about trauma.
Yeah.
I I remember of you speaking about how after after the years, some traumas come back sometimes, and they got weakened and weakened after the years after your final experience. My question is, did in your case you felt like they were more intense?
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Maybe you feel it more intensely. Like you feel it more in the body rather than like a
Yes,
mental idea.
yes, yes. The body. Yes, really
Yeah,
intense.
yeah. Why, what's been
Um,
happening for you?
it's something like that. I had like my moment 5 years ago, and uh, I am experiencing now a particular situation that gave me really strong trauma in the past, and I feel now that that I am experiencing the same thing, and the body is feeling really like shaken, like
Yeah,
fear of flight or high
yeah,
places.
yeah,
Um, I am like, I'm not sure if I know that I have the power to just be in the moment and not feel anything, but sometimes I feel that maybe I should just leave the body feeling whatever trauma is feeling or fear and shaking. And I don't know what's the best thing to do.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know what the best thing for you to do either. Sorry, that sounds a bit funny, but I don't know what the best thing. I can talk about my own experience,
I would like
but
to hear
it's
that
really
because
complex.
no other speaker talks about these things.
Yeah, I know.
Most speakers, I feel that they project that image that everything is just perfect.
Yeah,
After in, it's not that.
yeah.
There's no
Um,
suffering, but the body reacts in a way
yeah,
that makes absolutely no sense. So if you could
yeah,
speak about your own experience.
yeah. So what my experience is that if now, like what first of all my experience is that I find that life is in some way like this life is magical. Just for an example, the other day I went to the doctor's for a specific subject. So in France, you go to the specialist like straight away. You can just book a specialist, and um, and I went for a specific test. I'm fine. I'm not ill, but I went for a specific test, and my partner was waiting for me in the waiting room. And when I was in there, he got a missed call from somebody, a doctor. This is really weird. A doctor that has nothing to do with me or anybody. She'd got the wrong number, who was of the same practice as the doctor that I was going to see. So she was of the same speciality. And she gave my partner the results of another person that had been to the same. It's really hard because I don't want to say what doctor I went to. Okay, let's just say a woman's doctor. So we went to the woman's doctor.
I figured that much.
Yeah, I'm trying to avoid the word.
It's not the point. It's not the
Yeah,
point. It's
the
okay.
point is like is life is like full of these like amazing coincidences that don't make sense. Like
Yeah,
there is absolutely no
yeah.
sense in that he got the results from a different woman, from a different doctor in a different country phoning him, and it's like you just can't, like, that just, you can't put that into sense. That's beyond coincidence. And I feel like life
Yeah.
works like this. So if you've had these awakenings, or if you're on this path, then your intention is to go beyond yourself, and your intention is to expand as a human. And so therefore, what life is going to bring towards you is that. So just like in that moment, me and my partner were focused on the woman's doctor. So we were thinking about
Mm.
that, and then it brought it into both of our lives. But when you get focused onto this subject, that's what it brings. So it brings about awakening. And after you've had the energetic awakening, then it brings about integrating that more and more into the body, and the body expanding. And what I find is that since the awakening, like big unresolved issues, like so big traumas that I still have in the body, life brought those situations like into my life. So
like it was on purpose. It
yeah,
seems like.
yeah. So it brought it and really pushed it into my face and made me re-experience those traumas again. And then what I find
Exactly. Oh my
happens
God,
this
that.
time, yeah, what I find happens this time is that it's a very visceral experience. So like so with my dog, like the other day, at the moment it's just raining non-stop in France, and it makes a smelly dog, and also when you go for a walk she ends up coming back smothered in mud. And so I was showering her outside, like washing off the mud and giving her a bath. And to Khaleesi, like taking the bath is very traumatic. She doesn't like it at all. And her response is that she full out starts shaking. It sounds like I'm really cruel, but I can't do it in a nice way. There's no, like I do it in the bath, in the house, I do it outside. She hates it no matter what. And she stands there and she vibrates with her body. And I feel like now when I'm experiencing a past trauma, or when I'm experiencing something traumatic, my body responds physically rather than mentally.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, so it's a
yeah.
very physical thing. And from my own experience, I found a way which I'm happy with, in which I deal with the trauma. So what I do is, first of all, is I feel the trauma. Sometimes if it's too much, then I just move my attention away from it. And if it's not appropriate to be doing it in that moment. So I feel the trauma in my body, so where it's happening and what my body's saying. So if it's like I'm really shaking, then I might just wait till that calms down. Then I feel like where I'm energetically bunged up in my body. So if it's in my throat or in my heart, like what parts of my body hurt. And then I go into them and I let those parts speak. So I almost like have a dialogue with my different chakras and the different areas of my body. And I ask it, what it's afraid of. It might be death, or it might be someone hurting you, or lack of control. Like, so I ask it what it's afraid of, and I let it have a voice. And I completely see it as not mine. I see it as an energy passing through. So I let it have a voice, and I let it speak. And then I ask it what it wants. So when I've let it speak, like really got down to the source of it. So it's normally like you're afraid of dying, or normally comes down to fear of survival. So when I've let it speak, I then ask it what it wants. And this is the healing part, and this is really important part, is so say if it's like you're afraid of the dark or something, like what I like ask when I'm in the dark, or when that fear's coming up, what is it you want? And the want is safety. And then you imagine what would be safety for you in this moment. And it's not got to be spiritual, so you can't say being awakened. It's got to be something very human. So what would be safety in this moment? And then you've got to allow your imagination and your body to find the most safest thing. And it might be being back in your mother's womb. It might be your mother putting her arms around you, or like growing wings and flying away, or becoming a dragon. And that to me is the real healing part of the trauma. Like, so it's like you allow it to be there, and then you shift it into what you want. And in that imagination, what you begin to do is rebalance it in your body. And that's how I work with it personally. But I can't say that that works for everybody. That's my personal technique. And I think I sort of developed it from Waking the Tiger, a book called Waking the Tiger, and lots of other different things like chakra healing and stuff. And it like, so to me, trauma is energy locked inside the body. It's got nothing to do with the person, or the imaginary person, or the separate self. It's that when you're like 6 years old, say if you get run over by a bus or something, every time you see a bus after that, your body goes into fear of death, and it's automatic. It's the same with Khaleesi. Like every time she sees water, she's not she doesn't have a sense of self, I know that, and she's not separate from herself. But every time she sees the water coming on her like that, she starts vibrating, like, and shaking. And it's like a very visceral, like, fear that's bodily, and it's inside the body and inside the chakra system. And I also see it as, you know, these traumas might not go, but what can happen is they can be exposed, and you can come to live with them in a healthy way, and they don't debilitate you. So say if you've been in an aeroplane crash or something really traumatic, you can allow that energy to pass through your body, and it's not debilitating you. So with me, like, if I have energies of fears or something coming up, like, I also see it as not something that necessarily goes away in the human life. Like, it's part of being human, like the pleasure and the joy of seeing sunset and, like, speaking and laughing with your friends. It's also the part of being human or being an animal is you get traumatized by your environment. What happens when you're seeking, when you're deeply identified, is that you avoid it at all cost, and it makes it really debilitating. So people get to stages where they get agoraphobia, where they become physically ill from it. That's the way I see it, and that's the way I deal with it. And it's a very, like, it sounds like a very dual thing to do, but if you really understand, like, that there's nobody doing, it's actually just like retraining your dog, or learning to bake a cake, or fixing a bone that's broken. It's really an impersonal thing. Like, it's not a personal thing. It just seems like it's a personal thing because you believe you're doing it. But if you had a broken arm, you wouldn't have any qualms with fixing it. And it's the same with trauma. It's just that your body has been shocked by things or by people's behaviors. And I think everybody has it.
Yeah, yes. I don't feel like personal anymore, but I was shocked to feel the body shaking like that.
Yeah.
It was like a surprise. I was not expecting that anymore.
Yeah.
But I understand what you said. It makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna try.
I think it's I think actually that's really something, because the fact that your body's shaking, like, that would be so deeply repressed in most humans, like, so deeply, like, pushed down to allow yourself to shake. Like, most humans would do anything
I'm feeling
not
like,
to show that.
I'm feeling like let it out.
Yeah. And you can do things like, so sometimes when I have difficult energies or something, I just walk around the house shaking, or I do a breathing exercise, just like shaking out of the body, like physically doing something. Like, that's another thing that I do. But my most preferred one, so I do that. I do shaking, and I do dancing around the house, or putting on loud music and letting it out, those types of things. But my preferred one is this imagination one. It's really beautiful if you really do it fully. Like, it happened to me in India. When I was in India in 2011, I got attacked. They got mugged, and
Wow.
they most probably wanted to rape me, but I was, like, screaming my head off and ran,
Oh
and,
my
like, was
God.
like,
Oh my
nah!
God.
I think I scared the shit out of them, but they got my belongings. But it was quite shocking.
Wow.
And when I went back to
I
India
have
this
heard
year,
that story.
so
Yeah.
yeah, when I went back to India this year, like, I've been to India quite a few times since, but we were in the countryside, and it was similar to the place, and I noticed the trauma came up about it. Like, I felt unsafe, and I went into my bedroom, and, like, it just was so beautiful, because this trauma, like, and it can feel very physical, and, like, such a physical experience, it transformed into, like, so I did that, I felt it, I allowed it to be there, and asked what I wanted, and it was safety and protection, and, like, I imagined this light surrounding me and protecting me, and it grew, and it was so beautiful. And then for the rest of the time I was there, it didn't appear again. Oh, maybe it did appear a few times, but that kind of really diminished it. I can't remember actually if it appeared again, but
Wow.
it really diminished it. I remember it really, like, having quite a profound effect. So that's my favorite method of working with it, trauma.
like a dialogue, internal dialogue. You talk to yourself,
Yeah.
like you said, um, what do you want? What do you need?
Yeah, first of all, you have to let it speak. So, what is it afraid of? What do you think they're going
Mm.
to do to you? What's going to happen to you?
Yeah.
Like, so you let it speak and say all the negative stuff, and then you say, okay, so that's the negative stuff. Because normally we won't let ourselves go fully to the negative stuff because we're afraid of it. So it's like letting the absolute and realizing what's happening in your body, where you feel it. So really get the negative stuff out, and then asking what is it that you want, and then allowing yourself to imagine anything. Like, and I can imagine for some people it doesn't work. So they, like, if you've not got a really strong imagination, I can imagine that just doesn't do anything. But for me, it really works and it's really beautiful.
Ah, I understand. Understand. Wow.
But there's a nice book and
Mm,
writer. I can't remember his name. It's on my website. If you go to references, there is this bit about
mm.
trauma, and it's called Waking the Tiger. And I forget his name, but I think he's very good with trauma. Like I think
I'm
he
gonna
like
check. I'm
yeah
gonna look into your
yeah.
website.
And I think it's called Waking the Tiger. And he talks about this, that's his theory, is that inside everybody's body you've got like the shaking one tends to be that you're frozen. So he thinks that we respond like animals. So you've got frozen, run away, or attack.
Mm,
Like these are the three options, and he thinks that we get stuck in them. So because we're not allowed to acknowledge them in our society, and we're not allowed to like really show our fear or really like go ballistic if somebody attacks us or something, um, we we suppress them into our body. And so he tries to encourage people to go back into the visceral experience of it, to actually go back into the shaking and pure panic of it. But I wouldn't do, like, I'm not recommending doing this without reading the book. It's quite detailed, or even doing it with a professional. Um, I can imagine some people that are very vulnerable, that would be too overwhelming. And he thinks that you have to
yeah.
go actually back into the visceral experience. And from that visceral experience, you do this, what is it I want? And you actually imagine that experience again, but this time you surviving, and you surviving as in this time something coming in and helping you that's very positive. So I think this is a really nice way to work with trauma, for me personally.
Understand. I'm gonna check. I'm gonna look for the book.
Yeah, yeah,
But your answer was really nice. I really grasped the meaning. I'm
yeah.
sorry about my English, and
Oh no, you've
I'm
got really good
practicing.
English, really good English.
Thank you. Uh, I waited like 5 years to give you a call.
Oh yeah.
I've been following you for watching your videos for like 6 years.
Oh wow.
You, I want to thank you because you really helped me on my process
Oh nice.
because you got me really confused because you got me really confused because I was like I was into Muji and Osho and
Yeah.
old teachings and Zen masters, and then a woman shows up on my Facebook on my YouTube feed, and she's talking about having sex with the boyfriend. I was like, oh my God, I believe that people that had awakenings lost total interest in sex life.
Yeah.
And I believe that we need more people that expose themselves like you talk the real thing.
Oh nice.
You
Thank you
really
for saying
talk
that.
the real thing.
Yeah,
Um,
sometimes it's a little exposing, like being on the internet and doing that. But I really try to be as genuine as I can.
yeah, but it really helped me because I had a certain image, like it should be a certain way,
Yeah.
and I start watching your videos and all that, everything that I read it before, like exploded because I
Yeah.
knew you were telling the truth and was really genuine experience. And my mind at a certain point was, okay, I gave up. I give up. I don't want to think about it anymore. And I kind of exploded.
Oh, beautiful.
And I, everyone listening, there is hope.
Oh, that's so
There's nobody
beautiful.
there, but there is hope. I remember
Yeah,
I've been noticing that you've been shifting how you talk to people, how you
yeah,
your style has been changing, and that's beautiful to see that uh, after awakening you keep changing and evolving,
yeah.
and that's really nice to see.
Oh,
People believe
nice.
that it's a perfect state that you're just on a mountain and nothing ever happens, but uh, it's not like that.
Yeah.
So sorry I take too much time. I
Oh
just want
no,
to thank you.
that's really nice. I really enjoyed talking to you. Yeah. And thank you
Thank
for
you.
sharing your experience.
See you next time.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Bye. Nice. Well, that's touching to hear from somebody that's been listening for so many years. It's really sweet. Thank you, Jai, for calling.